Noticing how your attention is on thoughts. Your attention is on thoughts. You're looking at thoughts. What's attention? Can you find that? What does that look like? Your attention's on your thoughts. What's attention? Where is it? Where are thoughts? Lots of people spend a lot of time meditating to try and get rid of their thoughts. Where are they? Can't find them, can you? Try and look at it, try and grasp hold of one and really grab it by the throat and stare at it. You're hallucinating. Having a very profound internal hallucination, the creation of thought, the sense of self, the world around you, the relationships you have. Everything is arising in the mind. But when we look, you just find a very, very simple awareness. That's all you actually find, and even that you can't find. Where is it? Where does it begin? Where does it end? Can you find where you begin? Where's the edge of you? Can you find the edge of you? Turning the mind inwards. You run around saying I all day, me, your whole world is revolved around this idea of something inside you that's suffering and enjoying. But when you look into the mind, you can't find it. But there's suffering. To whom is the suffering arising? I really want to know about that one. Is that which is aware of suffering, is that suffering? And what we find is that there is no suffering. Because when you look within the mind, when you look at this, it's unspeakable what it is. It's ungraspable, unknowable. It just is. Isness, that's what some people call it. To say it's an it is something that betrays its nature. So your mind is profoundly safe. It's not affected by anything. You know? I say mind just so that I'm talking in some kind of language that you might understand, because what mind? What you're experiencing is not you. Something far, far more profound. Your thoughts constantly trying to capture attention, to make sense of the world, to define it, to imprison it, to encapsulate it, because you want to feel safe. You want to feel like you know what's going on. You want to understand, you want to know. You want to grasp onto something. You want to attach yourself to something. Everything's coming and going, isn't it? Everything's bursting into life and having its moment and then disappearing, and you're trying to cling on to things as that happens. You're afraid of life. There's no need for you to be afraid. You don't have to cling on. You don't have to chase, grasp. There's nothing for you to gain here. And there's nothing for you to lose. Your mind is only ever what it is. You can hallucinate all sorts of experiences and have all sorts of wonderful dreams, but a nightmare. But it all rises in the mind and then crashes in the mind, leaving not a trace. There are experiences, thoughts, feelings, sensations coming from nowhere and disappearing into nowhere. There's no one that this is happening to. It's just happening. In the mind, there's no one there. It's just happening. Notice how you're aware of the sound of my voice, the sensations in the body. This thinking mind, this hallucinatory experience, thinking mind is judging and assessing, praising and condemning every sound, every sensation, every thought, every person, every experience, chasing after what it wants and rejecting what it doesn't. But the actuality of your mind is not doing this. Notice how you're effortlessly aware of the sound of my voice. You're unconditionally aware of the sound of my voice. Whatever your mind says about it, whatever your thinking mind says about it, the deeper aspect of you allows it. It's completely surrendered to existence already, the deeper aspect of you. You're aware of every experience unconditionally, even great pain. Your nature allows. By its nature it accepts. By its nature it's surrendered. Imperceptible almost experience of awareness. It's clearly there, but we can't put our finger on it. We can't say where it's coming from or where it's going to. There's no coming and going in it, is there? It just is. So rather than meditate, Simply know yourself as you are. And not the story that you have in your mind about yourself and about life. What you think you are is just a perception arising in you. It's just a perception. When you look into the mind, there's simply this vast emptiness. It's there and not there, isn't it? It's unborn, it's not taking form, is it? Your nature's beyond birth and death. And when you're looking and you're thinking, what is this? What's he talking about? And I know I'm aware, but I can't grasp hold of it. How subtle you are. How subtle. You've been on this planet alive for many years, and yet when you turn the mind and look in, you're grasping at air, aren't you? Truth is, your mind either exists or not exist. You know, you're in between existence and non-existence. Nothing could possibly add to it. Nothing could possibly take anything away from it. There's no container to put things in. There's no collection of things to lose. The nature is completely liberated from everything. Completely unbound. And the mind can't grasp hold of itself. You're beyond, 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 beyond. No explanation, no concept can define you. You just are, isn't it? You just are. sensations in your body? How are you aware of these apparent thoughts coming and going? Just allowing everything to dissolve, every perception to dissolve. Don't cling on to anything. Let go of all ideas and of the idea of yourself. Notice that whatever you're aware of, awareness surrounds it. Whatever thought or idea you have of yourself or concept you have of yourself, awareness surrounds it, doesn't it? Notice the body. Awareness surrounds the body, isn't it? You're aware of the body. When you look at yourself, you're not inside the body, are you? Try and point to where you are. Try and find where you originate within the body. You're not there, are you? Sound of the water trickling. You're aware of that. Your awareness surrounds that, doesn't it? Noises far in the distance. You're aware of that, aren't you? There's just this sensory information arising, isn't there? Sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. All things you're aware of, aren't they? Who's the knower of these things? Because you are the knower of these things, aren't you? Turn in and look at this one. Dissolve into that one. You can't grasp hold of it with your mind. You can't understand it. You can throw yourself into it. There are no separate things. Life is a dance. And suffering from a terrible delusion that there's a self in a body. mind, that you are the body. When we look, we find something else. You are reality. Suffering is the fact that you've been missing yourself. Something has felt wrong, hasn't it? For a long time. You've been looking outside, try and fill that void. With things, with romance, with all these objects of your desire. You've been craving something, haven't you? It's yourself. Just allow all desire to fall away. There's nothing to understand, there's nothing to awaken to, there's nothing to know. You already are what you're looking for, so just rest. Been looking for your own light. Realising this, simply turn the mind in and rest. Come home to yourself. The selfless self. To awareness. Nothing to modify, nothing to adapt, nothing to fix. Nothing to resolve. No inner work, no outer work. No inner, no outer. The mind is pure Buddha nature. Pristine. Untouched. Utterly untraumatized. Effortlessly liberated. Changeless. There is no end to self-realization, so when we slowly open our eyes whenever we're ready, there is no meditation that happened and there is no end to it. You always are what you are, So as you open your eyes, you continue to be as you are. As the mind tries to grasp and resist, just remove the value that you're placing on that. See the ridiculousness of it. Do it all with a sense of dispassion. Allow yourself to be the freedom that you are. No more stories, no more games, no more trying to profit, no more trying to avoid loss. No more I need, no more I want. No more he said, she said, they said. Drama over. No self, no enemy, no friends, no needs, no desires, no hope, no fear, no suffering. Complete. Dissolution of the dream. Wake up and realise you're already awake. You've always been what you are. While this drama has been playing out. Enough now. Let there be absolute peace. Stop waging war with every sound, every sensation, every person, every circumstance, your own body, your own mind. You think life's been waging war with you. You've been waging war with it. Stop it. If you want peace, make peace. Let it be. Let it come, let it go. Let people come, let people go. Let experiences have their time. Everything in this realm has a beginning, a middle and an end. Even the stars in the sky. Let it. The fact that it ends means you're never imprisoned by it. You think of anything more awful than immortality. Never to flow, never to grow, never to move, never to change, never to shift. It would be absolute stagnation. Your nature is so free, it's free from life and free from death. And so it'll have both. And neither of those things. of those experiences that arise. Let the waves of experience come and crash, come and crash, come and crash. Cling on to nothing, no one. Not your own happiness, not even your own body, your own health. Resist nothing. Open the door to pain and suffering. Let it come in. Open the door to happiness and joy and let it go when it wants to go. Let everything move through you. You've got nothing to lose, nothing to gain. It's just experience. That's all that's happening, is just what's happening. It comes from nowhere and it goes back to nowhere. That nowhere is your own mind. You experience that nowhere in your own mind, that no place, that unfindability, that essenceless essence, that there but not there, that awareness, that empty self-cognizant knowing. The thing is, the mind cannot fathom what you are. But look around you, look at the planet, look at the stars, look at the sky. Trust it. It seems to know what it's doing, right? You're pointing at the universe and say, I think we've got a few problems with what you're doing. I'd like to raise a few issues with you, my lord. Can you think of anything more ridiculous? I think this could change a little. Screw billions of years of evolution and whatever's going on. I would like a little bit more of this and do a little bit more of that, a little bit less of that. See the ridiculousness of your position, of your stance, and let go of it. Realise how ridiculous it is. You know why the Buddha laughed now, hey? All so silly, pointing at things, saying they need to change, running around trying and finding enlightenment for a thing that's already enlightened, trying to liberate something that's already liberated, trying to wake up a dream. Silly things to try and do, aren't they? People sit here and try and awaken. Can't awaken a dream, can you? If you're having a hallucination, the hallucination itself doesn't awaken, it simply comes to an end, doesn't it? Are there any questions about any of this? Feel free to ask. Everyone that says they've got a silly question, they usually say something completely profound. It blows my own circuits. So.
affect change, but about trying to make changes in the world. Is that not worthwhile.
So when one of the Gitas, the Bhagavad Gita, when this teaching is explained in, one of these facets of this teaching is explained in, it happens in the context of a war. You know, why are they having this profound conversation? Krishna, consciousness, and Arjuna, the ego mind. You know, why are they having this profound conversation in the context of a war and talking about peace and love and harmony? And the war is symbolic of just the whole of life, you know. And Krishna, Arjuna says, once he hears the truth of this message, says, I will now do nothing, I will sit and do nothing now, that's it, I'm done, I'm over the dream. And Krishna laughs and laughs and laughs and laughs and laughs, and he says, there's no you, and you will act according to your nature, and you'll carry on living in the world, and you'll carry on doing, but just relinquish the fruit of your actions, carry on living without thirst, just live, follow your purpose, but you will live. He said, no, I've realised the truth and I shall sit still, as you wish, but I tell you, you won't sit still. In fact, you'll wage this war and you'll go and kill half of your family because they're evil and they're doing bad things. And without killing them, they'll carry on doing bad things. And Arjuna says, well, there's no one there, nothing's actually happening, everything's self-liberated, and why do I bother? And Krishna laughs. Anyway, he goes into battle and he does kill half his family because regardless of what's realised, this is still happening. You still have to put food in your mouth, apparently, and go to work and live, and you will. Try and sit and do nothing for a while. You'll always act according to your nature. And the wonderful thing is, when this is realised, when this emptiness is realised, when this nothingness is realised, something profound begins to arise, with bodhicitta, and explaining about bodhicitta, the spontaneous wish for all beings to be free from suffering. It just comes out of nowhere. When you let go of everything that you're not, this noble ideal comes into existence. When you realise there's no self, you become selfless. When you realise there's no one there, there's just beingness, there's just aliveness, and it's ungraspable, and you're free and you're liberated, and you realise your profound safety. Oh, you look out and you look, and you see in this sea of emptiness, this sea of nothingness, all these apparent beings arising, confused, running around, unhappy, sad, thinking that they're dying, thinking that they're being born, madness unfolding in front of you. And what's the response? Absolute compassion, utter compassion, absolute kindness, And the Buddha comes into being. When you first, a lot of you are talking about suffering. Some people are here because they're suffering, and suffering is such a bad thing. But when your own suffering arises, it gives rise to awakening. When the dream becomes a nightmare, all of a sudden the wake-up happens. And then, when you're awakened, when you realise the pure potentiality of the mind, absolute unmanifest, unborn knowingness, you realise yourself, you see yourself. In response to the suffering outside of you, then another awakening arises. The rising of the profound personality, the supreme personality, the bodhisattva, the Buddha. It's a very big secret. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell it to people, but I've not been told not to. But if there was no suffering, there would be no Buddhas. Everything only arises because it's needed. The Supreme Personality would not arise without the conditions that brought it into existence. There's a profound sacred mystery going on here that you're in, up to your neck. Profound. Life is coming into being. It's evolving, it's moving, it's growing. And the culmination of that, your destiny, is this incredible selflessness. Not this contracted sense of being. This incredible outpouring of wisdom and compassion and love and kindness. The revelation of supreme qualities, love. All of this is needed, all of this tragedy, this apparent tragedy, this play, this disaster, to bring about love out of the emptiness.
I have a stupid question.
Stupid question, go ahead, the best one.
My everyday stupid question. But, you know, at the end of the meditation, you were laughing and to talk about ridiculous.
Yeah.
But not one of us was laughing with you and find this ridiculous. Do you think there is in our beginning of meditation something we try to be profound, to be serious, it's difficult to find the joy maybe in this for us.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's more a kind of in this profound and this research. It's more maybe a sadness, sadness than a joy.
Yes.
So when you start laughing at the end, I was a little bit shocked, And I think everyone, because no one, she laughed all the time, but no one was laughing.
Because when you think you're a self in a body, and someone says to you, "You're not there," always a very sad thing for you. It's a sad day for the ego. But I realise my nature, and I find it incredibly funny because there is no ego. But I am here, so what am I?
What is that? Why I ask you?
Yeah. So the nature of my mind is realised. So I know myself as reality in a body. So I've been playing games to myself for a long while. I find it so joyful and it's so beautiful and it's so happy and it's so lovely because I've realised myself in a body and I'm not a self. I'm not a suffering self, I'm existence. And it's my experience that. It's my experience. And it's beautiful and it makes me laugh and it makes me cry. And then this is why I do this, to take you to that point. Because I promise you, it's everything you've been looking for, I promise.
No, I'm not this. It's not me like that. A little less.
Yeah. I can't focus on it or think about it for long enough, And it sounds sad, this emptiness. It sounds sad, but it's not. You're all of it. This drama's been arising in your mind, but you're all of it, you're all of this. And this teaching is this path to realising yourself, Reality has been incarnating for thousands and thousands and thousands of years and teaching itself about itself. How profound. I mean, what? What's going on? Why have these teachings been passed down thousands and thousands of years? One person passing these teachings, then and then passing it on to the next person, and the next person, and the next person. Being one after the other after the other. Like, what's going on? Reality's teaching itself about itself. Reality's forgetting itself and then making itself remember itself. It's, But they call it the wish-fulfilling tree, I never understood that. My mind is like a wish-fulfilling jewel. I used to think, maybe it's because you can get everything that you want from this mind. People think that. But it's not. It's just the feeling of it. It's like all of your wishes being granted at once. Your desires they're pulverized. And you just experience the bliss of the pulverizing of those desires. Nothing is wanted anymore. And then your mind is just known. It's profound joy. And there's laughing at the ridiculousness of how you were before, I had a funny experience once. There was this Cornelius who was in my mind, who was having a life, and it was terrible, and it was a nightmare, and there was a catastrophic ending, and he had a nervous breakdown, and he broke down and collapsed and died. It was an interesting experience to have.
Do you think that's the story of the Christ being crucified and the resurrection?
Yeah, it's your story.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, you're all being crucified and resurrected. You're all being reborn. Your suffering is doing that to you. There's something profound happening here. There's something profound, really profound. Your existence is sacred. There's something, it's a profound mystery, and all the religions and philosophies of the world have been trying to explain it to you. And people have been missing the point. They've been taking it as a belief system. It's not. These are just conceptual explanations for this, ungraspable, non-conceptualized incredibleness that's going on. And everyone's like, I'm trying to explain it. I'm going to write a book about it. I'm going to write it down because that's what I feel like now. I need to write this down. I need to record it, because people need to know about this. People need to know about this. And then people get the books and they're like, oh, that means that. That means that. This means that. Everyone, you have to follow this. This is the book. If you don't, I'll kill you. You see how it all gets a little bit crazy? I'm sure Jesus didn't envision loads of crazy evangelicals in America running around with guns going yee-haw and, polluting the climate and not caring and saying, ha ha, you've saved me from my sins, I'll just carry on sinning, you take it, ha ha ha. I'm sure he didn't envisage that. That great bodhisattva Christ, and I'm sure he didn't envisage that. Christ had bodhicitta, the spontaneous wish for all beings to be free from suffering. You've been robbed of the significance of that story by ignorance.
It's a hard story to translate though, isn't it? Really.
It is. It's what you're trying to describe is an undescribable process. The human unfoldment. It's not even a human unfoldment. It's the unfoldment of reality, the inner evolution. You cannot explain that. It's unfindable. It's unknowable. There are things that I experience in my mind that the language doesn't exist to communicate. But you find the same thing when you turn in and look at your mind. You can't communicate what it is, can you? Your mind's trying, where am I? What am I? You can't, your reality is non-conceptualized. You can't grasp it. So yeah, it's hard to explain. But there's something about, I'm like a dog barking at the moon, And you might look at me and think, it's this crazy dog barking. What's he barking at? I'm just a dog barking. But some of you might look at me for long enough to realise what I'm barking at, and then look at the moon and go, that's what it's barking at, So all this barking and noise that I'm making about something that can't be spoken about, this emptiness, this reality, this awareness, what do they call it? What to call it? I don't know. I'm just hanging words out there. Hopefully they fish you in, But this is your destiny.
So the Dalai Lama often asks people when he visits, is it getting better or is it getting worse? Because he can't tell from where his perspective is.
He knows, but he's not allowed to say.
Well,
no, he's not allowed to say. He just doesn't say. The Dalai Lama keeps things on the QT. He's got a lot of roles that he has to play, and so he has to say, "Oh, be a good person, don't be a bad person." He needs to keep it at the lowest common denominator. But when you see him sometimes speak when he's not being recorded, he speaks about the profound truths, and all of these profound truths are recorded in the scriptures. So the world and samsara, and it needs to be fixed. It's an awful thing. The problem and the fixing of the problem and the experiences that arise from that, they're all meant to be. They're all continually existing, flowing. This is duality. You're supposed to experience light and cold, light and dark, hot and cold. There's this polarization that's being experienced here, and there's a as I said, there's a reason for that, to elicit the coming out of the Supreme Personality of love. When you see disaster, when you see suffering, like the Buddha did when he fell over the wall and saw the suffering of the being, the response to that. So that's why the world is the way it is, because it's to wake you up. This is a pure land. You couldn't imagine a heaven better than this. What's your version of heaven? Well, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to get everything that I want. Really? or this miraculous transformation, this expression of, wow, this is profound, this realm. Very, 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 very lucky you are. Very, 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 very lucky you are. It's all perfect. So, allow it to have its work and then respond to it. Set the noble intention. If you really want to commit to this, you really want to put nitroglycerin in the tank, you can set this pure intention within the dream, When you see all the suffering around you and you realise that I'm done with my own mind, you can put your hand on your heart and you can say, until every sickness is healed in every realm of the universe, may I become the antidote. Until every sickness is healed, may I become the doctor, the nurse, the medicine itself. For those that want to cross the water, may I become the boat, the raft, the bridge. Until every being is free, may I become the cause of their enlightenment and awakening, their ultimate and temporary happiness. If you really want to wake up, if you really want to step into your destiny, that's the way to do it. Your mind is this unmanifest potential. You're being sold all these ideas and manifesting a reality that you want and getting what you want, and a car, a house, and another, and a boyfriend, and a this and a that. You are wasting that potential because you have the potential to manifest a living Buddha. So quit fucking around would be my advice. It's up to you. I'm not evangelizing, it's no skin off my nose, what you do. Take whatever I say and churn it up in your own mind and throw out whatever you want and keep whatever you want. But that would be my suggestion from looking at things from this perspective. I would suggest that you commit to becoming what you can become. And all from simply resting into your emptiness, by the way. Because there's nothing to do and there's nowhere to go and there's no one to do it. So we let go of all desires, and when we let go of all desires, and we set the profound intention, the noble intention to be a cause of happiness and awakening to all others, forget myself. And we set that noble intention, well, wonderful things happen. Wonderful things arise all by themselves. They bubble up like a spring in you. You can't stop it, in fact. If you rest your mind long enough, you'll arrive at this. You don't have to understand the word that I've said. If you just stop and rest, it'll bubble up all by itself. It's your nature. This thing, this sort of simple awareness, you might practice mindfulness and I'm aware of. You stay with that awareness. The qualities of that unmanifest awareness become manifest. Pure wisdom and pure compassion. And they completely and utterly consume you. Shiva's fire. Shiva's representation of consciousness. Why fire? Because it consumes. It takes everything. And then gives everything. Anything else?
think the sky is a good example for when you say about emptiness, about is there but it's not there, about
Yeah. The sky, it's there, but it's not there. Clouds coming and bursting into life and disappearing. A rainbow's a good one. Rainbow's obvious, isn't it? It's kind of there, but not there, isn't it? Everything is like a rainbow. All of experiences are like a rainbow. Your thoughts are like a rainbow. The object is like a rainbow. It relies on conditions to come into being. There's no essence to it. It actually arrives at its existence because other things create the illusion of it. And all those things that are creating the illusion of it, they're also dependent on other conditions that are creating the illusion of it, and they're also dependent on other conditions that are creating the illusion of it. There's nothing actually there, but everything's here. It's a funny thing, reality, isn't it? Stewing on that, thinking on that, triggers this. Thinking about that emptiness. The more you think about that emptiness, it brings an end to suffering, and it brings a rise to this bodhicitta. People think, like they say, it's a sad thing. It brings an end to what you think you are, seeing things as empty. Brings an end to what you think you are, and then there's a revelation of something else. But yeah, the sky's a good one. The mind.
Rainbow is better, right? It's more colorful.
Yeah, you've been seeing all the Buddhist thing, the pictures of the rainbow, and even some images of Christ. There's the rainbows around. It's to say this is empty. It's emptiness. Emptiness is very important. Even in the Buddhist things, it says, you should be very careful about explaining it. You should explain emptiness correctly. You should not avoid explaining emptiness to someone who can grasp it. You should not over-explain it to people that don't understand it. There's like about 4 or 5 different rules. Don't kill, don't do this, don't do that, and then there's about 400 for emptiness. Because it's such an important thing to get your head around. Because when you realise everything's empty and it's there but not there, it liberates the mind. You realise life is okay. Your pain is not actually there. It's there but not there. Your suffering is there but not there. The Buddhas are there but not there. The sky, the rainbows, everything is there but not there. It's the middle path. It's this, that, this and that. Neither this and that.
You talked about being in the world, in life, with a compassionate perspective, and doing your duties according to your nature. How do you differentiate and know duties versus desires?
Desires is something you thirst for. A duty is just something that must be done, or something that needs to be done, Often you don't want to do your duties. Often you don't desire your duties.
Duties are hard.
So perform them, But people think that when this is seen, that then you walk around your day and you're like, I'm reality, I'm free from all desire. You don't do that.
But if you take the example, say, looking after your family.
Yeah, you're going to look after them well. You have bodhicitta, don't you? But where's your family? I've lost all concept of family. That circle has expanded to include every being in the universe. I take full responsibility for them and their suffering, all of them. This great responsibility on one side, and then I also know there's no one there, there's nothing happening, everything's empty. One of my arms is in absolute compassion, and the other of my arms is in the pure wisdom essence of all things being empty and devoid of nature. But you just go through your day. You end up going through your day, and your day changes. Initially, when you have an awakening, not so much. You carry on a bit more, but then now this is becoming too much for me to sit quietly about. It's coming more and more into the places that it didn't used to come into. But I carry on with my duties. There are some of my friends that don't even know that I feel this way about life, or that I've seen what I've seen. Some people don't know that about me. Hi, I'm Cornelius, how are you doing? Oh, you alright? Yeah, how have you been? This is a housework. You know, what's going on? Oh, that's good. Oh, so-and-so said, oh, no, why did they say that? Oh. Because that's life, you know? I went into the kitchen the other day and the older nutritionist, she said, what was going on in there? It's so different here, you know? Because there's no need for me to rise like this in there. What's the need for it? When you're cooking a vegetable curry, cook the fucking curry, you know? So, oh, there's no curry, there's no stir, there's I'm free. Life is self-liberated, knowing it. Oh God, what a bore I'd be. Oh, what a bore I'd be. Better to have some fun, you know. Play your roles, smile and laugh, and wax serious. Then you have to act serious. And sometimes there are things that you shift and change. Your nature changes, you know, depending on the situation, because you're just a set of conditions, absolutely free. So your nature shifts and changes. You become quite chameleon-like in ways. You know. So. All good news, hey? All good news. You can chill out now. Worry not. Fret not. Oh, thank God. Yeah. Oh, thank God. It's all okay. All the suffering, the sadness. It's all good. Oh, that thing you've been trying to get rid of is the thing that brings you into being. For goodness sake, thank God life didn't listen to you when you said, please stop.
Just ask one thing, if we should all be, wish for nothing and just be empty and just absorb and then it will all come to you. That works very probably easily for people who've got what they need, but what about people who have nothing? People who are homeless, starving, how does that work for them, do you think?
It's the same principle, you know?
But if they just sat around and,
a lot of the teachers that teach this, especially traditionally, they would walk around and beg, I think probably more than anything to illustrate a point. Yeah. You know. You find food when you find food, and when you don't find food, you starve. That is what happens. Things tend to come that you need when you're a baby. You didn't quite worry about all that stuff, did you? We've got this into this kind of culture where everything is bought and sold, and some have and some don't, and it's a very bizarre construction. You know, it's a very funny world. You know, if you have the ability to, you should help. If you have the ability to, you should help. If you have much ability to, you should help in a profound way. You know. But everything is arising. As I said, you look at everything in reality and in the universe and existence, you can't take a problem with it, I can't take a problem with the fact that I had 10 years of suicidal depression. my back is bad, you know. Can't really take an issue. I don't know what it's doing, what it's not doing, what it means. I don't know. I just have to. I don't just have to. I just fall into the acceptance of it, and even sometimes not. Ow, you know. Sometimes that happens. You know. Sometimes I wish my back would get better, and then that stops. That wish falls away. As I said yesterday, there's many stories of the sutras, and one of them I think says, and then Buddha took a rest because he had a bad back and he had to lie down. Everyone's like, you're not completely perfect and in absolute health. That's what I thought I'd get from enlightenment, health and superpowers. No. Sorry. Yeah, the superpower ones, my siddhis. Yeah, when you take these vows, these bodhisattva vows, then you'll get your superpowers, but you won't be able to use them on yourself. No, and you won't be able to direct them. You're not Harry Potter. But you will become an inexhaustible treasure, a wish-granting tree, a profound sky in which everyone grows. That's the miracle, that's the transformation, that's it, you know. What else would you want?
And we have to come to these realizations and experiences ourselves, don't we? Because
I actually realise within that sensory experience, what I'm talking about,
yeah.
It's not a belief system.
Sorry?
It's not a belief system.
Absolutely not.
Don't take my word for it, please. Stew on it, chew on it. Let it do whatever it wants.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has to arrive. And as you're exploring and going further on your quest, and you might find lots of conflicting information out there about this, my advice is to look at traditional scriptures and other people's experiences who are awake, and then compare and contrast that to where you are. So you receive confirmation from the awakened ones, and you receive confirmation from within your own mind. And you receive confirmation with logic. You must prove this to yourself within an inch of its life. You must resolve all doubts about this. This cannot be a belief system. It must be something that you arrive at absolute confidence in. This is not something I believe in. It's not something I have faith in. It just is, because from every facet it has been seen. You know, I'm still seeing it from other facets. There's, still things unfolding here. You know. But the good news is you have, thanks to Google, a treasury of information, and thanks to publishing, a treasury of information, and thanks to many things, even the invasion of Tibet by the Chinese, they have put a lot in print to preserve their culture, and it is waking people up. We are receiving texts and things that we would not originally have access to, because they're trying to preserve their culture. They're trying to preserve these teachings, and you are now at a great Dharma banquet. You are a banquet of profound teachings. Never before have you had a little thing that you can tap stuff into and find stuff out. You can look up pictures of cats if you want, but, or you can explore the voice of the awakened ones. Up to you. You can worry about Brexit, Google what Boris Johnson's doing, or you can read about what the awakened ones say about this. Because if you do that, if you keep reading around it and thinking around it and stewing on it and looking at it and practicing this self-inquiry, looking within your own mind, this is what triggers the transformation. That and your own desire to liberate, We talk about desirelessness, but before that, all desires should resolve into the desire to be free, to see with wisdom, to find compassion. And if you can do this and you can channel all your energy and attention at that, this is what causes it to happen. you know. One of the teachers that I enjoy the most, Nisargadatta, was a cigarette seller, and not very well educated, and all of these things. He went to go and see his guru, and his guru said, "You are awareness, forget everything else." And then his guru passed away shortly after. And so Nisargadatta did exactly what he said. He just sat and focused on awareness, obsessively. I said, what brought you to awakening? Radical honesty with myself and this obsession with the inquiry. He just kept looking at awareness, looking at awareness, looking at awareness, and that, boom. You read Nisargadatta's books, this is not an uneducated man. This is pure wisdom, pure compassion, you know. So yeah, you have to get a little bit obsessive with it.
But then the human nature is obsessive, isn't it?
Well, everything, all the ingredients you need for this pursuit are there. You just need to channel them. It's like desire. Your desire outwards. If you turn that energy inwards and look at yourself, it unlocks it. You know, it's the key. Desire is the problem and the key. When you turn that in, that outwards, when you turn that in on your own mind, that energy. You see the pictures of the deities, don't you? The Shiva, and he's got a fountain coming out of his head. What's that mean? You know, it's fountain. What silly drawing? No, because of the desires turned in, and it gone through the energy network. And, you know, but the moment all your power, you're pushing outwards, great Buddha. You're all great Buddhas, sleeping Buddhas. You know, having a time of rest, and one day you'll turn in and burst into life, just like the flowers, just like the little babies that are born, just like the little lamb.
But you have to keep practicing.
Apparently, it helps. But there's no one practicing, you know. You have to practice not practicing, you know.
If you stop sitting, you stop the inquiry, then it will go away.
It can't actually go away.
No, but it will be slightly
To get the
by.
To get the realization, it needs some looking and exploration. But when the realization is there, there's nothing you need to do to maintain it.
You give it power then.
Doesn't need it. Do you believe in Santa Claus?
Yes.
That he existed.
Huh?
That he existed.
Do you believe in the Santa Claus that comes around with a sleigh and gives all the presents and
Now,
yeah,
what does he still do it? You mean?
yeah?
I wish I could say yes.
But you can't, right? I'm going to hold a gun to your head. You have to believe in Santa. Can you do it?
Yeah.
Can you believe in Santa?
Yes.
You can't, can you? You can't, because you've realised that Santa does not exist. It's a realisation. I've won the knowledge of Santa, you know? I'm victorious over the illusion of Santa Claus. What do I need to do to maintain and sustain that? Nada.
But what you give your energy to, you feed and it grows.
Yes, absolutely. But when there's realisation, there's a constant realisation of nature. When my mind is busy and I'm performing duties, there's less of a focus on this. But when my mind sits, it just absorbs into it. You know.
So it's the sitting.
It's the lack of desire. This needs to fall away. But once you get the clarity of your nature, the desire naturally just falls and falls and falls. But you've got to be careful with this idea of practicing, because the ego sits and the ego meditates. The ego wants to awaken. It's that you have to see through. It's not what you're looking to awaken doesn't awaken. There's an experience a little bit that it does. All over. I've had an awakening, and then that thing dissolves. So but it's really not in your control. All of this anyway. It's bubbling up all by itself. Even the inquiry, even the nature that you have. That I'm very obsessive. So I naturally was running around this in my mind constantly. When you see the fallacy of running around outside, you do it less and less and less and less and less. You get quieter and quieter and quieter. But what you previously would do to practice, to try and enter into silence becomes ever present without the practice. Understand? Because the conditions that would create internal noise are no longer there. You know?
Don't you think that takes some time?
Apparently, sometimes. understand what time is anymore, past or future. I've never had the experience of either of them, so I couldn't talk to you about past or future. I couldn't talk to you about coming from somewhere or going to anywhere ultimately, because I've only ever experienced nowness. Every idea I have of past has only ever arisen in the now, isn't it? And every idea I have of the future has only ever arisen in the now. You know, so practice and, you know, everything else is an illusion. But Cinderella must go to the ball, so carry on with your meditation, you know. And there has to be an end to the story. Cinderella has to go to the ball. She has to have her moment of bing, you know. Have that and then let that fall away. There's no Cornelius that's awake. It's just wakefulness. That's it. Even that is a description too far, a stretch too far. It implies there's something that was not awake. You see this life, it's this and it's that, and it's neither and it's both, you see. You see the paradoxes arising here in what I'm saying. They're not contradictions, they're both true. You know? The mind wants to hold things and know that this is that and this is this and I understand it. But when you look at reality, this it's that, it's neither. It's practice, it's not practice, it's both, it's neither. The truth is a funny thing, you know. You see. You can't grasp it, but you see. And that unfindability dissolves the idea of the practicer and the practice. That unfindability of it, you know.
Where does love play its part in all of this? Is there any such thing?
Nothing exists inherently. It's all unmanifest nature. It's all empty of inherent existence, but here it is. Love is the reason for this all arising, you know.
Okay.
So there's only love,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that arises, that bubbles up. Love and pure wisdom, you know, clear wisdom. Knowledge coming from where you do not know. Love coming from where you do not know. But this is it, when the mind rests and all the desires are let go and the sense of self is let go, it can be said to be love, which is why in religion they say God is love, or it's all about love, or pursue love.
Or why it gives you the feeling of the undescribable.
And also love is very, very important, that we love reality. I want you to fall in love with it. What do you do when you fall in love with someone? You give yourself to them, don't you? If you don't love someone, you don't really give yourself, do you? So I want you to fall in love with reality. I want you to enter into deep bhakti with reality, deep devotion to reality. Forget your ideas of God or not God. If you want to have a God, have a God. If you don't want to have a God, have reality, just life. But love it, see it, love it. I'm talking to you like this because I want you to see it. I want you to see my beloved. You know? I think if you see it, you might fall in love. But I can't teach you about love. You know, can't make you fall in love, can I? Can't make someone fall in love. But if you see her, if you see what I'm looking at, you'll fall in love. You'll give yourself to it. You'll hand yourself over to it. You'll let it take whatever it wants to take and give whatever it wants to give, and you'll surrender to it. Life becomes the guru. You should take life as your guru. That's what I'm trying to get you to do. Take life as the beloved. Devote yourself to life. So love is very, 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 very important. You will not arrive at this purely from an intellectual analysis, you know. Intellectual concepts are just there to kind of chew away at the intellectual concepts that you have, but when they disappear, then, love can't be known, self can't be known, but you are it. It can be known in that way. Anything else before we breakfast? I'm going to get told off for not serving breakfast on time, see? Back into life, you know? Why are you so late?
Just breakfast.
Yeah.
Before breakfast. No, we were talking about Santa Claus. Of course, I go back to my childhood. And do you think we still have this little child inside? What do you think about it? I feel like we have all this little child inside.
There's a deeper innocence in even the little child, and that you are. Your nature is pure innocence. Everything else has been overlaid onto that innocence. You are that child, but not an inner child. No. Not an inner child. An absolute innocence beyond any kind of
age.
Yeah. Prior to birth, what was that? That kind of innocence, you know. Some profound innocence that I can't speak about, can't be understood, can't be grasped. But certainly innocent is one of the words you could describe it. Faultless, beyond pure, utter purity. This is what you are. You're so pure. You have muddied yourself apparently in this world, taking on desires and selfishness and maybe all sorts of unfortunate acts you've committed, but they have not affected your purity. You are so pure, you are like a swan swimming through the muddy lake. Mud does not touch you. You are like the lotus. You feed off of the mud, but it does not touch you. You are beyond. But yes, you are innocence incarnated.
You like when you say, I am lotus.
Exactly.
I like to be a lotus.
The lotus. This is why they use the symbol of it. It's roots digging into the shit and the mud, and they grow in the most unpleasant looking lakes and things, sometimes from deep into the mud, and yet this beautiful flower arises from it. It's symbolic of your journey, So, thank you all very much for listening.
Thank you.
And to our newcomers, this is what we call meditation. Yeah, I know. You've got a little bit more than you bargained for, hey? Enjoy.